Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at an article from the Wall Street Journal. It was published on July 20th, written by Rebecca Balhas, Michael Rothfeld, and Joe Palazzio, or Palazzolio. Michael Cohen taped conversation with Trump about buying rights to Playmate's story. Conversation occurred in September 2016 after American Media Inc. had purchased Karen McDougal's story that she had an affair with Trump. Now, the funny thing is, they try to make it sound like this is the smoking gun of the Mueller investigation. This is a complete violation of attorney-client privilege. And you would think that the legacy media, if they weren't bought off sellouts, would report on that. Fact. Until it happens to one of them, then they'd never open their mouths because they all hate Trump, it seems. At least when it comes to, like, say, New York and the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, so on and so forth. And then CNN and MSNBC and so on. But the thing is if they honestly had a credible story, this would have been published a long time ago. We wouldn't be talking about this now, okay, or they wouldn't be, trying to make it into something. It's really kind of sleazy what they're doing here. So let's get into this article. Michael Cohen taped a face-to-face conversation with Donald Trump in which the two men discussed buying the rights to a former Playboy Playmate story that she had had an affair with Mr. Trump more than a decade ago, according to people familiar with the matter. Now, I love this. It's anonymous. There's no actual names being said, okay? And to show that they're activists and they don't like Trump, okay, they refer to him as Mr. Trump. He is President Trump. You are referring to him in the present tense. Therefore, you should be referring to him with his proper title. That's what you do out of respect. Clearly, they have none. The conversation between the then GOP presidential nominee and his longtime personal lawyer took place in September 2016, the People said. Okay, who are these people? Please, enlighten us. Oh, that's right. You're infamous out there in the legacy media for having all these anonymous sources that talk completely out of their asses. And you wonder why people call you fake news. That was 2 months before the election and a month after American Media Inc., the publisher of the National Enquirer, bought the life rights of Karen McDougal's story of the extramarital affair, which she said had what the proofread your shit, which she said has said, wow, which she said had began in 2006 and lasted nearly a year later. What they actually have is which she said has said began in 2006 and lasted nearly a year later. Nearly a year. Oh my God. I am some dude sitting here with a 4-year-old laptop, okay, and LibreOffice. So I use it to spell check. I then proofread to make sure that I don't have shit like that. How hard is it? Wall Street Journal, how big are you? I'm one person. I know enough to have to proofread my own shit in the case there. Don't you have proofreaders to go through and catch stuff like that? Wow. Representatives of Mr. Trump have denied the affair took place. Now, the thing is, there's literally just the very beginning of a conversation and the tape ends. Yet, they're trying to stretch this out into this thing, and they're trying to... It's like 65 degrees of separation. I mean, they are seriously trying to, with just this little tiny section of audio tape, create this huge story out of nothing. In the conversation, Mr. Cohen told President Trump, at the time he was Mr. Trump, about the American media deal and suggested that they consider acquiring the rights to Miss McDougal's story themselves. The people with the knowledge of the matter said, "Who are these people?" Come on now. I'd like to know who the fuck these people are, because this was evidence that was in violation of the Constitution, obtained from an attorney. In violation of attorney-client privilege. Holy shit. Mr. Trump, appearing open to the suggestion, asked how to proceed and whether he should write a check or pay in another manner, they said. Okay, who are these people? Because I'm not buying this shit. Because Trump would not be stupid enough while being recorded to have this conversation. This is like John DeLorean levels of complete bullshit. John DeLorean was literally entrapped by the FBI on a coke deal. Okay? This is what this would amount to. I don't think the man's that stupid to sit there with a tape recorder going, talking privileged information. Think about that. We're talking about privileged information. Why would you discuss that where there's a tape recorder? If you supposedly slept with this woman and you're actually considering buying her life story. Explain that one to me, because it makes absolutely no sense at all. But you see, you have anonymous sources and you're completely talking out of your ass, I'm going to say. It isn't clear why it isn't clear why Messrs. What? It isn't clear why Messrs. Oh. Another typo. It isn't clear why Cohen and Trump didn't ultimately acquire the rights from American media. A company spokesman didn't respond to a request for the comment. Mr. Trump ignored shouted what? Okay, Mr. Trump ignored shouted questions about the recording as he departed Washington Friday for New Jersey, where he is spending the weekend at his golf resort. Yeah, because it's a freaking nothing burger. You're holy shit. I notice your knob slobbering fucking Stormy Daniels hasn't amounted to shit. Although her freaking career as a stripper has taken off. Because, you know, her porn career was in a slump, and I'm sure that's going to pick up again, too. Even if he did sleep with her, it does not affect how he's running the fucking country. This has nothing to do with Russia. This is... Oh, my God. This is like back in the day with JFK. He was fucking anything with two tits, a hole, and a heartbeat. Okay? I gotta cut that okay shit out. I've noticed I've been doing that a lot. But he was doing that. And no one said anything. Everyone knew. No one cared. Because he ran the country and shit got done. This should be the same exact type of situation, especially considering this was before he became president. And it's Messer. Oh, so Messers is a person's name, because I've got it again later. I apologize. I thought it was another typo. But here's the thing. You are literally so desperate because you've looked like morons. You've shown that you are fake news, pushing a Russian narrative that can pretty much be proven false at this point by some dude sitting in front of a fucking computer with a microphone. This is freaking ridiculous. The recording of the conversation, reported earlier Friday by the New York Times, was less than 2 minutes long and cut off before the conversation ended, the people said. Yeah, exactly. So that means there's probably nothing to it. And this is such a big thing. It's a 2-minute conversation, a 2-minute recording of a conversation that got cut off. Uh-huh. There were some interruptions during the conversation between Messrs. Trump and Cohen, including someone entering the room to bring the candidate a Diet Coke he appeared to have requested, one of the people said. So these are all fucking anonymous sources because you're not saying names. And to me, their name should be out there when they're making these claims about a tape. And you're reporting on it in this type of situation. Otherwise, I'm going to say you don't have a source. I'm going to say the tape is pretty much bullshit because you people have lied about Russia. You've tried to make the Stormy Daniels thing into something. You've literally done anything and everything that you can to try to go after Trump. And you've failed. Give up already. Representatives from Mr. Trump have previously denied any knowledge of American media's contact with Ms. McDougal. American media declined to publish a story about alleged affair, allowing Mr. Trump to avoid possible bad press after he locked up the Republican presidential nomination. I love this. They try to make this sound like this was nefarious. The National Enquirer wouldn't do something to benefit Trump, but they're trying to make it sound like they would. The reason why the National Enquirer would not publish a story about this alleged affair, in most cases, almost unequivocally, would be due to the fact that they don't have corroborating evidence that it happened, that it is just her word. They have no proof, and odds are that's because it did not happen. And when this came about was back when Trump, won. This was literally right as he was coming in to win. This was about creating a story out there to try to go after him to stop him from winning. Because he was still then candidate Trump. Don't you think that if they had an actual story, if they had something that was true, the National Enquirer would hold back and not publish it? Bullshit. Over the years, they've had no problems doing stuff like that. Hell, they were the ones who exposed a lot of Hillary shit. They were the ones who exposed Weiner about exposing his wiener to underage girls. They've become more credible than you guys at the Wall Street Journal. What does that say when they actually have integrity not to publish something because most likely it was not true? Yet here you are publishing this tape about it as if it was gospel. Go figure. So now you're trying to blame the National Enquirer on him getting the nomination, it seems. Jesus. The recording was among the material seized by federal investigators in an April 9th raid of Mr. Cohen's home, office, and a hotel room, a person familiar with the matter said, as part of a probe into Mr. Cohen's personal business dealings and efforts he made to suppress damaging information about Mr. Trump during the presidential campaign. Wrong. That was not why it was done. This was all done in the Russia investigation. This was about finding Russians under the bed. Russians here, Russian collusion, Russian this, Russian that. There's absolutely none of it. This information coming out because of people taking seized material and leaking it violates the president's constitutional rights because it was illegally seized in the first place. I mean, this is such bullshit. Rudy Giuliani, a lawyer for Mr. Trump, called the recording entirely exculpatory. And I love how, see, this is what gets me. Is that was not the context of it. This is one thing I say in all my videos when I see this stuff, because it drives me absolutely apeshit. They are literally taking something out of context to try to make it sound like he's guilty. Because if they put the full statement of Rudy Giuliani in here on this entirely exculpatory, I'm sure you wouldn't have that perception from it. And Rudy Giuliani is more than a lawyer for Mr. Trump. We're talking about, a bigwig from New York who's had a lot of years in politics too. It helps us rather than hurt us, Mr. Giuliani said, adding that the recording bears out the fact that I hate this. Again, out of context, because the little quotes, bears out the fact that Mr. Trump wasn't aware of the American media payment to Miss McDougal before Mr. Cohen informed him about it. No, that's not what he said, you sleazy, dishonest shitbags. Where's his actual quote? Oh, that's right, because if you put that, that wouldn't be what you could say he said. Because we can't have the full quote, because people are too stupid and you want them to think a certain way. Mr. Giuliani said it also showed Mr. Trump wanted any such transaction to be done in a regular way that is transparent. Again, taken out of context. You know, when they are literally chopping up what Rudy Giuliani has said and taking little pieces of it out of context, this is not what he said or exactly what he said. They're changing the context. This is why you are fake news, Wall Street Journal. And you think your readers are too stupid to notice that you're literally taking little snippets of a quote here and there and putting your own spin on things between them. People aren't that stupid. You're that stupid to think that people would buy into that. I mean, there are some stupid people on your level, but they're your typical New York leftist liberal types. You know, your progressives, your vote for a commie bitch who grew up in the suburbs in a nice house types. Those type of people are pretty fucking dumb. You just don't do any form of illegal tax or campaign finance violation by check, he said, adding that the payment to American media for the rights to Miss McDougal's story ultimately didn't take place. And I love how they take this again out of context. Okay? They're trying to make it sound like he did it, he would have done it, but done it shady. I'm sure that what Giuliani was getting at was Trump isn't stupid enough to do something like that and create a paper trail. You know, meaning like because it would be illegal, he wouldn't do it. He doesn't want to end up going to jail. He doesn't want to be charged with anything. And they're trying to make it sound like, well, he's not that stupid to do it, and he would just do it another way, and he would, and he probably did. That's the kind of the implication you get going on here with that. And you're never going to find out. There's another thing you kind of get going on with that. And again, he didn't buy the rights. The National Enquirer didn't publish the story. Probably because she was full of shit. And she was upset that Trump could win and decided to try to take him down with a bullshit story. I wouldn't be surprised if you actually dug into her past, if somehow, some way, in some shape, or form, through intermediaries, there's some Clinton involvement with her. I wouldn't be surprised. Carol Heller, a lawyer for Miss McDougal, said, "We are learning of this as it unfolds at the exact same time as everyone else." Oh, God, got to throw that in. Wow. You use anonymous sources and then got to throw in the lawyer here to try to make this. Oh, wow. This is fucked up. Throw the lawyer in to try to add credibility here. Oh, God. When the recording is heard, it will not hurt Mr. Cohen, said Lanny Davis, a lawyer for Mr. Cohen. Any attempt at spin cannot change what is on the tape. Yeah, but they're still trying to spin it here, buddy. Federal investigators are examining whether Mr. Cohen coordinated with American media to buy and then bury Miss McDougal's story in violation of campaign finance laws. People familiar with the matter said. Well, yeah, because Mueller, he hasn't, exceeded the scope of his investigation on Russia. We're now into campaign finance laws. He literally, every person he's gone after was done with illegally obtained evidence because there was no actual probable cause. It was based off of the piss dossier and shit like that. So all these people, all right, they're like, oh, we've got them. No, because when this is said and done, these people have major constitutional violations that have happened. So this is all going to blow up in the left's faces. It really will. And I love this. We got to throw in the campaign finance because we got to switch the things from Russia because we haven't found shit on Russia. I mean, this is ridiculous. The searches of his property sought information about American media's payments to Miss McDougal, as well as about $130,000 payment Mr. Cohen made to silence former adult movie star Stephanie Clifford, the Wall Street Journal previously reported, citing people familiar with the matter. So what? We're using Stormy Daniels' real name now? And the thing is this was not about that. This is such complete bullshit. This was about Russia. I love how they are literally lying to the people here. This whole investigation, what the investigators did, was based on the fact of Russian interference and Russian collusion and things of those nature. But yet, we're now looking into porn stars that fuck the president. Seriously? That's why we did this now, supposedly. Okay. You really think that people have the attention spans of goldfish, huh? I'm sure a lot of, people in New York that read your rag might, but that's about it. The materials seized in the April raid were subject to a weeks-long review led by a former federal judge for potential attorney-client privilege. It isn't clear whether the former judge ordered the recording of Messer, Trump, and Cohen to be released to prosecutors in the Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office, which is leading the probe. A spokesman for the U.S. Attorney's Office declined to comment. The Journal previously reported that Mr. Cohen was in communication with American Media Chief Executive David Pecker. Great fucking name, David Pecker. Are you a pecker? That's right, I'm a fucking pecker. What are you going to do about it? David Pecker and the company's chief content officer, Dylan Howard, during the course of their negotiations with Miss McDougal, citing a person familiar with the matter. I love this. Person familiar with the matter. Because you've lost all credibility saying from anonymous source. You've now decided this newspeak way of saying anonymous source is more acceptable. A person familiar with the matter. Translation, an anonymous source you cannot trust. And so what if he was in communication with these people over at the Inquirer's parent company? That doesn't mean shit. I mean, this is so messed up. And Pecker is a friend, as Mr. Pecker has said, he's a friend with both of them. Come on now, Pecker. All right? He said this. Of course. Oh my God. You got to throw that in because he might have wasted all that money and as a favor to Trump, eaten the cost of it and not reported the story. I love how now the Inquirer, they're trying to make the Inquirer fucking credible. These are the same people that when they were reporting on Hillary and were factually right, were like, well, they're the Inquirer. They're just a bunch of liars. They're tabloids. They're salacious. They're this, they're that. Now they're trying to treat the Inquirer like it's some Pulitzer Prize winning news outlet, and they did something shady here when odds are, because of what's happened to tabloids in the past, they didn't print the story because it was not factually true. A spokesman for the company told the Journal that American media initially called Mr. Cohen for comment on Miss McDougal's story. Miss McDougal flew to Los Angeles in June 2016 and was interviewed by an American media executive about details of her alleged relationship with Mr. Trump, according to a lawsuit she filed against the company in March, seeking to free herself from the American media contract, which she alleged was meant to muzzle her. Wow. Oh, yeah. There is got to be, through intermediaries or something, there is some DNC Clinton shit going on here with this one. It stinks of it. Because she wants to take this story. She's already got her money. So, that should be enough said. She's made her money off of this. She signed a contract, they paid her. Now she's trying to get out of the contract so that she can go and push this narrative now. Is she going to give the money back? If she wants to be out of this contract, is she going to pay them damages and so forth on it too, on top of that? Because to me, if she wants out of the contract, she should pay more money than what they paid her. They need to be made whole and then some. But no, she just wants out of it so that she can push this shit, because this is the trying to discredit Trump phase. And right now, she got her money, but she's looking at the fact that she could go cash in at other places with her story. She's thinking she could probably keep the Inquirer money. And at the same time, because she's Trump deranged, she can try to take down the president. With a story that obviously, you know, if the Inquirer won't publish it, odds are it's not true. The publisher declined at the time to buy her story, but showed renewed interest the next month after Mr. Trump won the GOP nomination for president and after Ms. McDougal had begun talking to investigative journalists at ABC News. Ms. McDougal's lawsuit said. By early August, American media had agreed to pay Ms. McDougal $150,000 for life rights to her story. Right, so she got paid $150K. See, she decided to try shopping it around. ABC didn't bite. I love how their choice of words here. She had begun talking to investigative journalists at ABC. No, she talked to them. They passed. I'm going to put money on that. And that's when she settled on the $150K that American Media / Inquirer paid her. Jesus. Which you notice they put this at the end, because if someone read this, they'd go, wait a minute. She was talking to ABC, then why didn't she get a deal from them? That she had to go to the Inquirer, and they'd go, huh? And then the Inquirer turns around, because they're they're looking, well, we want to get the scoop on this, and they probably paid out without fully researching it, and then realized that there's nothing there. When the Journal revealed the existence of the contract in November 2016, an American media spokesman said the company principally engaged Ms. McDougal to model for magazine covers and write fitness columns. Okay. Yeah, because their private business is their private business. You try to make that sound nefarious. If I had a contract with someone, I wouldn't be bragging about the contract. Especially if you're investigating the story, you don't know if it's true because you leaped before looking. You want to make sure that you've got your ducks in a row before you come out and say, oh yeah, we paid her for her story on fucking Trump. That same month of the election, Trump campaign spokeswoman Hope Hicks, when asked about the agreement with Ms. McDougal, told the Journal, we have no knowledge of any of this. Exactly, because they didn't at that time. A spokesman for Ms. McDougal's lawyer in the deal, Keith Davidson, declined to comment. And what's funny is you basically admit, having from Rudy Giuliani, and you took it out of context too, that he had no knowledge. So why throw this at the end? I mean, this is ridiculous. This is an absolute nothing story. Even if he did fuck her, which, who cares? I mean, this is about trying to create something out of nothing. That's the bottom line. Anyway, I've covered this well enough. I'm just going to leave things here. If you liked this video, depending on where you are watching it, please give it an upvote or thumbs up. If you want to know when new content of mine hits the internet, don't forget to subscribe to one or more of my social media or video accounts listed here. Also, with YouTube, don't forget to ring that bell. You can find all of my video content on both BitChute and YouTube. This may not be the case with other places I upload to, but I will try to minimize this happening. You are always welcome to interact with me at any of these sites on the list, so feel free to do so. If you have anything you want me to cover in a video, when it comes to news or current events, send it right along to me. I will try to do my best to cover it. As always, thank you for watching.